Good evening. This is Daily News from Addis Standard. Broadcasting from Addis Ababa, today is Thursday, the 4th of December, 2025. Here are the top stories we're following tonight. United Nations warns famine emerging in Sudan's Kordofan region as civilians face growing dangers. The United Nations is sounding a new alarm over rapidly deteriorating conditions in Sudan's Kordofan region, where civilians are facing what officials describe as growing dangers amid intensifying violence. UN spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric said humanitarian teams have condemned escalating attacks and ongoing sieges that have cut off multiple cities. People trapped in Dilling and Kadugli are facing extreme hardship, severe restrictions on movement, and collapsing access to essential services. The UN confirmed that famine conditions have now been identified in Kadugli, while fresh attacks have also been reported in Babanusa, in West Kordofan in recent days. Humanitarian organizations say they are deeply alarmed by continued assaults on civilians and repeated strikes on civilian infrastructure, warning that the situation is deteriorating faster than aid agencies can respond. U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia restricts travel to Sidama after a new Marburg case is confirmed in Hawassa. The U.S. Embassy in Addis Ababa has imposed new travel restrictions for its staff following the confirmation of a Marburg case in Hawassa on November the 27th. In a health alert issued on December 4th, the embassy said official and personal travel to Sidama regional state is now restricted out of an abundance of caution. This comes on top of an earlier limitation already placed on travel to the South Ethiopia regional state. Ethiopia's Ministry of Health says the patient, who had recently returned from Jinka, tested positive in Hawassa. Health Minister Dr. Mekdes Daba says contact tracing, medical care, and preparedness efforts are underway in regions where the virus has not yet been detected. The U.S. CDC has now issued a Level 1 travel health notice for Marburg in Ethiopia, advising travelers to take standard precautions. National Dialogue Commission urges renewed efforts to bring Tigray actors, armed groups into process. Ethiopia's National Dialogue Commission is calling for renewed participation from political actors and armed groups in the Tigray region. The commission warns that the continued absence of key stakeholders poses a major challenge to the national dialogue process. During a consultative meeting on December 2nd, Chief Commissioner Professor Mesfin Araya highlighted the unique credibility and influence of religious and civic institutions, urging them to encourage political actors and armed groups to join the process. He stressed that including perspectives from all parties, especially those in Tigray, is critical for a comprehensive and meaningful dialogue. Earlier in April 2024, the Commission extended invitations to armed groups, offering assurances of security for those who participate. On December 4th, Professor Mesfin met with professional associations, reiterating efforts to secure engagement from Tigray actors. He noted that formal discussions are underway with the Tigray Interim Administration and called on professional associations to help create an environment conducive to dialogue. The Commission says it has made progress in Tigray after visits and meetings with local leaders, civic groups, and political parties. However, opposition parties remain skeptical, disputing the Commission's account and citing unresolved political issues as obstacles to genuine dialogue. The Commission emphasizes that broader stakeholder involvement is essential to move Ethiopia's national dialogue forward and to foster lasting peace in Tigray. Ethiopia suspends licenses of 22 sports betting firms amid 100 billion birr embezzlement probe. Ethiopia has suspended the licenses of 22 sports betting companies as part of a major investigation into alleged embezzlement, tax evasion, and illicit financial activities. The Ethiopian Lottery Service said the action follows information from the National Intelligence and Security Service and is in line with legal provisions allowing license suspension when criminal acts affect public peace, national security, or involve fraud. Authorities revealed that suspects linked to the betting firms are accused of concealing more than 100 billion birr in government revenue. 24 individuals have been arrested, and further action may follow as the investigation continues. The probe uncovered systemic irregularities in the sector, including unlicensed operations, revoked licenses, tax evasion, and use of international platforms to conduct illegal online betting. Some operators even hid their actual business locations. Investigators also allege that licensed local payment service providers helped obscure transaction volumes, with significant funds laundered abroad through cryptocurrency and informal transfers. Officials warn that some of the laundered money may have been used to finance terrorism, anti-peace groups, and contraband networks. The suspended licenses will remain inactive until the investigation concludes, with authorities continuing to scrutinize the entire sports betting sector for illegal activities. Federal court sentences former State Minister Taye Dendea to 7 years. Defense says trial proceeded without key witnesses. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Mayor Adanesh. The Ledita Federal High Court has sentenced former Deputy Minister of Peace Taye Dendea to 7 years and 2 months in prison and fined him 5,000 birr for possessing an unlicensed firearm. Taye's attorney, Abra Nigis, said the sentencing on the 5th of December 2025 took into account 12 of 13 mitigation points submitted by the defense, while the prosecutor's request for a harsher sentence was rejected. However, the defense argues the trial was flawed as only 2 of 5 defense witnesses were heard. Key figures, including Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Addis Ababa Mayor Adanesh Abiyabi, and Minister Chaltu Sani, were not summoned, which the lawyer claims denied Taye his constitutional right to fully defend himself. Abir confirmed that the defense plans to appeal the sentence. The case also involves new charges filed on the 24th of November, accusing Taye of collaborating with the enemy, defaming the government, and conducting propaganda against the National Defense Forces, linked to statements he made in a recent interview. A hearing on these charges, including a bail request, is scheduled for the 17th of December 2025. Taye was arrested in December 2023, a day after criticizing Prime Minister Abiy, and has remained in custody since the Federal Supreme Court overturned his previous acquittals in December 2024, ordering a retrial. Defense motions on alleged rights violations and the return of confiscated household items are still pending, with no court decision yet. Claims of peace agreement between Amhara region and dismissed Fano member face scrutiny as AU IGAD statements lend credence to signing conflicting statements continue to emerge following the announcement of a so-called peace agreement between the Amhara regional government and Masresha Setie, a dismissed member of the Amhara-Fano People's Organization, or AFPO. State media reported on the 4th of December that the deal was signed in the presence of mediators from the African Union and IGAD, with officials describing it as a major step towards stabilizing the Amhara region. The ceremony reportedly included Amhara Regional President Arega Kebede and Masresha Setie. However, AFPO quickly rejected the reported agreement as an absolute lie, stating that Masresha lacked authority to sign and had been suspended from the organization. The group emphasized that it has never engaged in negotiations with the regional or federal government and warned the public against misinformation. The AU and IGAD, on the other hand, have confirmed witnessing the signing. IGAD's Deputy Executive Secretary congratulated the parties and urged other holdout groups to follow suit. The African Union described the development as a significant step towards lasting peace, reaffirming its commitment to supporting the agreement. The Amhara Association of America has sharply criticized both AU and IGAD, claiming their involvement lends credibility to what it calls a fabricated deal and accusing the institutions of undermining impartial mediation efforts. Observers note that similar agreements in other regions, including with the Oromo Liberation Army and groups in Benishangul Gumuz, have failed to produce lasting security, with recent attacks continuing to claim civilian lives. The situation highlights ongoing tensions and skepticism over peace initiatives in Ethiopia, as questions remain about who truly represents armed groups and whether signed agreements reflect genuine reconciliation. That's all for tonight's Daily News. Thank you for watching. For continuous updates and detailed reporting, visit addisstandard.com. Have a peaceful night.